In this week's live Q&A, we're going to dive into real solutions for some of the most common and stressful parenting struggles. And if you're here, this is our live Q&A. So if you came to ask a question for a deeper understanding from one of our books or one of our programs, or you've been watching our YouTube channel for a while, make sure to post in comments. I also would love to say hello. Who's here? Who's watching? And is this your first time here, or are you coming to join us at live Q&A every single week? We are Bonnie and Thomas Leota. We offer parenting strategies for ODD, ADHD, IED, autism, PDA. You know, there's so many labels that are getting put on our kids today that we just can't keep up with all of them. So if you have a child with a behavior disorder, you're in the right place at the right time with the right people if what you're looking for is solutions. Now, today's episode is going to cover what to do during a car ride when your kids are fighting, why your child pushes back when you try to maintain a boundary, what to do when your child seems to explode over everything, and to you it seems like they're just exploding for no reason. And how to calm chaos and build cooperation with kids who have oppositional defiant disorder or intermittent explosive disorder. So while we're waiting for for our people to find us, do you have a message you'd like to share, Tom?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for being here. And I'd really like to just honor Bonnie. Here's a lady who has done the real deal, but it was all rooted out of a finding a way for all kids to be empowered before the age of 12. And when she found it, that she wanted to make sure that every mom knew, whether you do it or not, that's your call. But her heart to let all the moms know that there is a fifth element to the four so-called parenting styles that got everybody locked in. But there's a fifth option that she wants you to at least know it is there. Because if you knew it was there, you wouldn't be begging or finding everything that I've ever done just doesn't work long term. Maybe a short-term fix, but nothing long term. And I think that is a mission worth fighting for. And you have been on this journey for how long, Bonnie?
The Creating Champions for Life journey?
Yes, since 2011.
Since the end of 2011, when I saw a massive turnaround in my home simply by embracing the principles that Tom used in his after-school program called Creating Champions for Life. And when I actually saw the change in my kids, I was like, oh my gosh, Tom, like you have something really special here. Like I think you have a parenting philosophy. But we weren't ready to step into our power yet until I applied his principles through phone calls. Hey, Tom, my kids are laying all over the couch. They were supposed to be doing their chores. What do I say now? And he would give me the little one-liner. I'd write it on a sticky note, put it on my computer, and then I'd go, oh, the kid said, I don't know. Now what do I say? He'd give me another one-liner. I'd put it on my computer. And after 6 months, I had kids who were diagnosed with the most severe case of ODD and ADHD, anxiety, crying herself to sleep every night, just defiant, chaos. Like, oh gosh, if you're a parent in today's world using gentle parenting, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But his principles matched everything that I have learned in my journey of personal development. And I want to pre-frame with this. The content that we share with you, you're not going to find in any other textbook. The textbooks right now that are out there for parents, like they're being written by doctors. They're being written from a need that started in the early 1950s. About 5 to 10 years after the introduction of authoritative parenting, parents started bringing their children to doctors in droves. We now call them terrible twos. Something's wrong with my kid. Please fix them. And so the industry began. And the textbooks are written all based on theory. Well, we don't want to beat them anymore. So why don't we try timeouts? Why don't we try redirecting? Why don't we try lecturing, talking things through? I learned it as backbone parenting. You would know it today. It's got so many, what do you call it? An alias?
Hmm.
An alter, I think it's an alias, which is like balanced, attached, gentle, conscious, peaceful
Yes.
parenting, all based on this authoritative parenting. So, you're not going to find this anywhere else. We're going to teach you principles that, as a byproduct or as a simple effect to the cause of implementing or applying these principles, are the most outstanding, most cooperative, most loving, respectful, kind, cooperative children around. And we're already transforming lives. We have people who come to us many times. I've spent more than $30,000 trying to fix my kid over the last 10 years. Can you please help me? They work with us for 90 days and their lives turn around. Now, this isn't going to be for every parent. This is going to be for the parent who's willing to find the root cause, the parent who's willing to take the time and the energy that it takes to do a total 180-degree in your habits, thoughts, and beliefs.
Sure.
And if you want to know more about who we are, if you get the book, invest in the book. It's called Learn to Speak Kid. You can get it on Amazon. The link is in the description below. When my mom read the preface of this book, she messaged me and said, I have a totally new understanding who you guys are, where the principles come from, and an absolute respect for the lifelong journey that Tom has had working with thousands and thousands of kids over the last almost, 35 plus years. All right. So if you want to know who we are, it's all here in the book. And if you want to know the root cause of your child's disorders, you can get a free copy of the audiobook, Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids. That's also in the description below by joining our VIP list. We're going to give you an audiobook in 90 minutes, totally transform your understanding of your children.
Yeah.
All right.
How about a pop quiz? Labels. I'm just going to go back in history and just kind of see if you can catch the puzzle here. Ranchers had cattle. False or true, Bonnie?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them too many to count. And if
Yep.
they ever wandered off and blended in with their neighbor who was, 20 acres away, they would be like, hey, that's mine. No, that's my cattle. That's my cattle. So what did they actually do to show ownership? Iron in the fire, red hot, and branded them.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It was a label for ownership. Now, I'm not saying that our labels for kids is ownership, but you might put two and two together, because if a little genius offspring's wanting to fight for independence versus being labeled for ownership, that might be part of a very deep, deep, deep root that's never talked about. And when Bonnie said, you're not going to find these in mainstream parenting, authoritative, authoritarian, permissive, or neglectful. Why? Because all of those have one thing in common, is they all lead to medication, or as we would call it, popping a pill. What we have is finding the missing life skill. So mainstream has you going this direction, and they all lead to the same pattern. You might see it for yourself. That's why you don't see this anywhere else.
Yeah, that's why we work with parents who have already tried everything, usually, have now prayed to God for an answer, and then our videos show up. That's what we hear 99.999% of the time.
Correct.
All right, so let's get into it, Tom. And
Number one.
if you're watching the replay, and you have a question that you want us to answer, just go ahead and post it in the comments, and we'll come back and answer it next week. Right now, it's what to do during a car ride when your kids are fighting.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's use a principle out there. It's called law of relativity, right? And so, are you going to ignore the kids, or do you choose to engage, Bonnie? The kids are fighting. doing something you don't like, it's
You know,
completely
yeah.
irrelevant.
When I
Engage
used
or
to
ignore.
have this issue before creating Champions for Life, I used to have this issue all the time. I had 4 kids between the ages of 6 and 12. As most of you know, if you're watching, you're a fan. You know, my kids were dealing with different mental health issues, and there was constant battles going on. They still remember listening to Lady Gaga back in the day, and some of their favorite memories ever because I would just blast the music and we would all sing and we would all have a fun time. I think that falls underneath the category of redirecting. So yeah, it would be stop it, be quiet. I need to drive. You guys are driving me crazy. I'm gonna pull over here, deal with this. It was always kind of like putting out the fires.
Okay, so this is going to be either you engage or you ignore. You're ignoring what the real truth is by redirecting. Okay. Now, I'm going to
Right.
challenge you to say, instead of ignoring or sweeping something underneath the carpet or, hey, look at this shiny thing, actually choose and make a decision to become active, like engage. Root word active, it's neutral. Now, we can either go positive or negative. Let's add a prefix to it. What would be something that is positive when you're active, and what is negative when you're active? Pro or re. You can become proactive, which means you had a plan ahead of time before they fight. No or yes. Right. Or,
Wait.
oh,
If somebody's hearing this for the very first time, I just want to magnify what you just said there. Like proactive, what? Proactive. How do you proactively plan for a car ride? You don't know what they're going to do. You have no idea what what's going to happen in the car ride. I've told them 15 times to stop it, to get along, to quit fighting.
well,
So that's proactive.
is it? Because I would
Is
practice
it?
I would practice a fire escape plan before the fire. Call me crazy, but that's what I would do if I was
Okay. You'll have to draw out a picture of what that looks like.
you. Well, you pretend and you actually go through the action steps called monkey see, monkey do, so everybody can see what you're saying. But let's get back to here. Active, you're either proactive or you find yourself reactive. Which one puts you in a position of smiles and frowns?
Well, because I've tried both of them, definitely proactive planning
Is a
is a
smile,
smile.
and reactive is a
Putting
frown.
out the fire is a frown.
Okay. Every single parenting out there, and we'll go ahead and take the neglective out because remember, you don't even engage. So you're either going to be reactive, authoritative, authoritarian, or permissive. Reactive. This is always going to put who in the driver's seat? The kids, not you. You're always reacting to what the situation is. And on your best day, you're herding cats and putting out fires just to survive.
Yes,
So
it's exhausting.
Creating Champions for Life does everything proactive. That's going to be number one. Now, what was the question? What do you do when the kids fight during the car rides?
Right.
Well, I've heard it all. Tell them to shut up. Give them something there. Install some screens on the back of your chair. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't even. I wouldn't sign up for that program.
Entertain, redirect.
But what we would do is we actually, before our kids ever got on the bus, or we went on in our 15 passenger vans, we actually did a simulation or a proactive plan of what is it we're going to be doing before we even got in the van ride ever. That was just a non-negotiable, the way we worked with the kids. So I'm going to bring your awareness to the book. Obviously, you're going to find there's going to be one of the 12 principles that's missing to be proactive. I'm going to give you an example of two. Principle number 5, which is going to be on page 149. Okay. And as I go to 149, it is going to be the principle called guiding behavior versus punishment. Which one's proactive? Which one's reactive? Reactive is punishment. Proactive is guiding. So, what does it say here? Here's the little tip. These are for the note takers out there. Principle 5 is this actually in your ingredients as a parent? Give your child the opportunity to grow, learn, and think lovingly on their own. So to guide it is can you fight in the car, Bonnie? No, or yes.
Yeah.
Can you also get along in the car? No, or yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you practice both of them, now a child actually has a chance to choose when it comes to attention. Which one would you choose to create a smile or a frown? You see, this is missing from the kids. All they know is to get attention is to act something you don't like, to get yelled at. It satisfies the quota. But did we ever take the time? Because when they act really, really good in the car, most parents ignore them, don't they?
Well, yeah, when they're acting good in the car, it's like, I better not say anything. Everything's so perfect right now. I don't want to ruin it.
So I do the good behavior. I get no attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if I act out, I get attention. You see, attention is that core root. You see, when I had a classroom full of kids that had, well, there was anywhere between 30 to 50 kids anytime during our program, before school, out school, all day, summer, all that kind of fun stuff. If you're herding cats, you're sitting there going, please sit down. No, no. And you just run around, and then half hour goes by and the class is over. But there was this one time you found the one kid who came in, actually sat down, legs crisscross, hands in lap, ready to go. And all I did was give all my attention to him. I fed it to him. Wow, look at you, knowing exactly what to do. I love when we play library mode in the actual car. And do you know what all the other kids started to do when they knew they wanted attention? They started to fall just like dominoes. Click, 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 click. Sit down, sit down, sit down. And I only talked to one of them. So you're going to reward them with that. That's the proactive part. So here's the other one. Why do they actually fight during the car rides? Because they're looking for attention. That's the key. Now, this is the other ingredient that is going to be missing for you. This is principle number 6. This is on page 189. It's called knowing the reward, not a bribe like authoritative. This is actually something that's important to the child. You know, you're going in a car to go somewhere, no or yes. Mm-hmm. And what's in it for them? Or are you actually just dragging your kids along because you have an agenda to get through the day? But if they were working towards something, and for them to obtain it would be the life skill called inside voice in the car, hands to yourself. These are all missing life skills that they could practice. And if they actually did them, who could make their reward, better known as their goal, show up? And you don't have to bribe them ever. These are 2 ingredients.
Okay.
And that's the solution if you're looking to be on the other side.
Well, let me translate. I'm going to translate layman's terms, mom to mom.
Yep.
The question was, what do I do when my kids are fighting in the car? What Tom just said is creating champions for life principles would role play the life skills before ever getting into the car. That's going to take some practice on your part. This is why we have mentorship programs, because we have a whole lifetime of wiring to react. And I want to say good morning, Angela, and good morning, Jessica and Kelly. Welcome. And Jessica, if you're still here, I gave you a little homework assignment last week. Do you remember what it was? I'd love to know. Did we actually engage on that? Share with me in the comments, and I'll come right back to this. So when I was first learning the Creating Champions for Life, I had the 2 kids, Jenny and Zach, in the back of the car. I forgot to pre-frame. We were heading about an hour and a half out of town, and they started to bicker. So what did I do? I pulled the car over, and I talked about all of the things that were going to happen. Now, Tom just said that they do that for attention. Kids are either going to get positive, proactive attention, or we're going to react with punishment, negative attention. The kid doesn't care. They're a program inside of a physical body. They require attention from you.
Truth.
So pulling over and having a conversation with them about, hey, you know what, these are all the things that are going to be there. There's going to be a tractor pull where you get to go on a toboggan at the back and you get to go for a ride.
Mhm.
There's going to be treats there, hot chocolate, games. What's important to you guys that you would like to do there? So I didn't react and start yelling at the kids, shut up and stop it. I took the time, like Tom just said, to find out their goal by having this, by showing them or telling them what was actually going to be there. And they started going, ooh, I want to go for a tractor ride. Ooh, I want hot chocolate. And then I could validate. Oh, you want hot chocolate and a tractor ride. Would you like to go for just a little while or a whole bunch of time? So I gave them some vision. Proverbs 29:18 says, those without vision perish.
Those with vision can prosper.
So the kids needed some kind of vision. What are we doing? So then I asked them a question. What would be a few things that we could do in the car on the way there? And so they started to say, Simon says,
Time out right there. Just repeat that one more time because it's this powerful. Please and thank you.
I asked them, what are some things we could do in the car that would earn you the most amount of your desires when we get there?
Okay. Dramatic silence for the thinkers. What if the kids actually know the answer already and they could have an opportunity to share? Be quiet in the car. Would that just make your heart melt, Norias?
Yes.
Right? Because 9 times out of 10, I've always found out that the kids do know the answers, but no one ever did anything proactive with them because all the parenting that's out there now is all reactive.
Well, we're too busy telling them what to do.
Yes, it's called dictation versus asking questions.
Yeah. So can you write that down?
Great.
Like, too busy telling them what to do and what that suppresses in a child and why we need to actually start asking questions. But they started coming up with some ideas, like of some games that they could play.
Mhm.
I think it was like count the cars.
Oh, the alphabet. You can find the A, B, and the C on the signs. I spy.
I spy with my little eye something that is green. So we went through these things. We came up with about 3 or 4 ideas, and I gave them a pre-frame of I will respond to 3 moms in the next 90 minutes, which means because you before you get out of the driveway, it's mom, look at that tree. Mom, look at me. Mom, 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 mom. And you have to focus on driving, right? Are you with me on this? Right? So I was like, I'm gonna respond to 3 moms. And if you guys focus on these games that you just shared with me between now and the car ride, you can earn like everything that you want to do. You can have hot chocolate and treats and this and that. And they were so excited about their goal. And because we role played and we practiced proactively, they weren't craving attention reactively. And we had like the most peaceful, quiet, loving car ride ever. And every time they went to go, Mom, they thought about it. Is this really important? Do I need to say mom? And you'd be surprised. In an hour and a half car ride, there might have been 1 mom's because they were like really practicing their self-control and their self-discipline to get what they wanted at the end of the day. Like Tom was just saying, we knew the reward when we got to the final destination. Any comments on that? Any questions on that for deeper understanding? And Jessica, I forgot what my homework was. That's okay. That's okay.
If it's in our head, we'll lose it fast. If we write it down, it's sure to last.
Yeah. So this time we're gonna write it down.
Here's the final point on the first question before we go to number 2.
Okay.
What do you do when your kids fight during the car rides? Think of it as a moment of detective work, right? Sometimes if you've never done this before, you just basically go into survival mode and give yourself permission to play the learn card. What is it that what if this is a good thing? My kids are yelling in here because maybe there's something that I'm missing. This is where these 12 principles come into play. So give yourself permission to learn that there could be a different way called proactive versus reactive. And let it be a learning opportunity, because everybody knows that when you cook something for the first time and it doesn't quite look like the picture, do you want to beat yourself up, or would you rather create it as a, oh, I learned how to make something that's not like the picture, like Thomas Edison, who invented how many things that was not quite a light bulb. Use it for learning. And
Right.
that way you can always win, even on your worst day. Let's go to number 2.
Well, okay, I'm going to
Oh, go ahead.
so last week I asked Jessica. She's got a little guy with autism, and so do most of our clients who come to us have a child with some sort of label, diagnosis.
Yep.
What the homework assignment is to do is to write down all of, like, say, the so-called the symptoms. Okay. They scream, they are highly sensitive, they don't like to be touched. Like, what are you dealing with? And then I want you to write down, beside the circumstance that you're dealing with, write down what are the life skills they need to learn and practice. We're working right now on rewiring the parenting brain. We are here to revolutionize parenting, because if every parent in the world knew what we taught, we would live in a completely different world. We'd live in an empowered world. We would have kids who are healthy, happy, and whole. And that's the truth. So I got my pen and paper today. Okay, that's awesome, Jessica. And everybody else who's watching this is the first step that we do with our clients when they join us in our mentorship program. For the first whole month, we play detective. What are you seeing that you like? What are you seeing that you don't like? And something like they're fighting in the car is a like symptom. It's a circumstance. So now what do we need to do? Are you with me on this? If you are, give us a like on the video. If you like what you're hearing here, remember to subscribe to our channel, because then you're going to get notifications every time we post a new video or every time we go live. And that's really important if you'd like to actually talk some things through with us. Okay. Because the truth is, and this is like on page 20 of Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids, children are born without knowing what manners are, how to tie their shoes, how to drive a car, what respect looks like, the proper way to sit in a chair, to eat dinner. Dr. John Locke in the 17th century pointed out that children are born with a perfect blank slate. Blank slate. A baby's mind is open and ready for whatever their parents are willing to help them develop. This does not mean that children are born without a specific personality or that they're not individuals, because, of course, they are. We've discussed this earlier in the chapter. But what Locke recognized was that children are born with pure potential, open minds, zero habits, none bad, none good. All right. So when we constantly telling a child no, or we're constantly redirecting when they go to touch something, they're not developing neural pathways of independence. They're not developing the life skill of, oh, if I touch that, I'm going to burn myself, etc., etc. All right. So this leads us into the next question. And if you're here and you got a question, now's a good time to post it in the comments. All right. Why does your child push back when you simply are doing your parenting role that we've been taught as the parenting role, and maintaining a boundary?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
I
That's the
love I
question.
love that. I love that 25th letter in our alphabet, because it gets you to think. Ask a question. Why? Why is this happening? Now, I know all the parenting in there, all the other 4 parenting styles that have everybody corralled into, already defaults that to negative. But if you could stay neutral and just ask the inquisitive question that we all did when we were very, 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 very young. Why? Why? We get an answer. We'd ask why, get another answer. Why? We were inquisitive. Why is this happening? Why is it that the eagle never flaps its wings and it can still fly? You see, then you're looking for a truth versus a jaded vision. So, why? Well, here's in the book, think of water and you throw a log or a rock in the river. And all of a sudden, the rock is the obstacle that the water gets pushed back against, right? So, why is it? Why is your child pushing back when you set new boundaries? Well, this is called expansion. Think of the time that you expanded your knowledge from walking, riding a bike, and driving a car. Did you experience any kind of?
You're tapping the table.
Oh, thank you. Are you receiving any kind of resistance? You see, the resistance is going from can't to can, not knowing to knowing. So when we use the word no, it's like resistance. Is it spelled N-O or is it spelled with 4 ingredients and 2 of them are silent? K-N-O-W. No, or are we looking to know why? And so when you can take the time to go, well, let's go to principle number 4. This is called making a transition. You see, how many rodeos around the sun do you have compared to your genius offspring? Let's say they're 10. You're probably going to be 30, 40, 50. So you already have gone through these. So you have already how many things of knowing of making a transition. So here's principle number 4. It's called making a transition. Your role as a parent is to teach them to become fishermen, not just feed them fish. You see, when you've been doing for your child all the time, and then all of a sudden now they get a chance to do it on their own, well, they go into, I don't know what to do, Phil. There's a learning curve. No or yes. And so that's going to be one of the most important parts. But here's the key thing. We're going to go to principle number 10, which is in the missing ingredient here, because this is called complaining. Why do you get pushed back? Well, if I squeak to get the grease, if I give you resistance and you just cave and do it for me, why would I ever want to learn how to do it on my own? And so a complaining is really and it says right here, a child's complaint, the pushback, can be your greatest ally. Why? Because they either don't know how to do it and they're looking for the knowledge, or they just found a way that if they squeak or they do their little act, that you'll end up doing it for them. And it violates principle number 4, which is making a transition to do for, do with, so they can do it all on their own. This is why you get pushback.
Yeah. Okay. So I did a video the other day on the YouTube channel, and it was like what we never say to kids, and we never say no.
Yep.
As in the N-O. We never say no to kids. And I realize that might make the whole world go, oh, but we can't go to Grammy's house. She lives 3,000 miles away. So what do you do? This is where we need to expand our thinking. And so I'm going to give you an example. I'm a kid. I want to eat candy all day long. And we never say no. But we never say yes either, eat candy all day long. So there's something in the middle. When can they eat candy all day long? When can they go see Grammy, even though she lives 3,000 miles away? When can they stay out all night and go to a party and get wasted and do all the fun things that teenagers like to do? Now, we're just trying to hold a boundary. The kids push back. Well, you can't have candy all day long because it's what, my job to keep you healthy? No, it's your job to prepare your children for life. What they're looking for is, yeah, but how can I? And so we would just go, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be fun if we could just eat candy all day long? Tom will teach you how to speak, kid. He's going to get you to think. We need to expand our horizons as parents if what we want is something opposite than we're getting right now. And so, you can eat candy all day long when you have your own job, pay your own rent, and you buy it for yourself. You can have that all day long.
And you're responsible for your own dentist
And
bills.
yeah, you're responsible for your own dentist bills. So they are looking to learn about how the world works. They don't know how the world works. They're counting on you, mom, dad, to be their trusted advisor.
True.
Just tell them the truth. We've been so conditioned to manipulate our kids. Like it's crazy when you take a step back and you really like look at the big picture. When your child is 2 years old and they're reaching for a hot burner, and we just say, no, 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 you can hurt yourself. Come over here. And we redirect them from the oven. Guess what they're going to do? Guess what they're going to
Mm.
do the minute that you um aren't looking and the hot burner's pretty and red? What do you think they're going to do? Share with me in the comments. What do you think your child is going to do? Your 6-year-old picks up a lighter or wants to play with the candle, and we go, no, 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 no. We don't do that. It's my job to keep you safe and protected. When really, if we knew our role as a parent was to prepare these little geniuses for the world, what would we do instead? Is that an aha moment for you? Are you having some sort of light bulb like, oh, right. It's not my job to protect them from the burner. It's my job to teach them what heat is. It's my job to prepare them for life so that if I'm in the room or I'm not in the room, they're going to know what to do. Does this just make sense? All right. I want to know. Share in the comments. There might be a little bit of a lag, but I'm still looking. All right. So when your job is to maintain a boundary, we are headed off a cliff. We are being led by wolves in sheep's clothing. Your job is not to maintain a boundary. Your job is to prepare your little genius for life. And remember, at the very beginning, I pre-framed our content is not for every single parent out there. Our content is for the parent who's willing to fight for the sake of their kid. Our content is for the parent who's willing to expand their thinking. Our content is for the parent who's willing to take responsibility, who's willing to do what they need to do. Our content is for the parent who knows, okay, they're labeling my child with blank. Something's got to be off the mark. And what I thought for 6 years, when my oldest son was being diagnosed with ADD, and I was listening to the doctors and the therapists and the psychologists tell me he's missing neural pathways. He needs this medication over here in order to help him focus in school. I never knew what a neural pathway was. And if you don't know what a neural pathway is, then you're like prime ripe to imprint upon you things that are not true about your child. So I'm going to say it every single time I talk on a video. Your child has the pure potential to be anything that they choose to be. We need to stand up, rise up, and we need to look at the face of society and go, there's nothing wrong with my child except he's missing life skills. And it's my job now to prepare him for life. And I'm going to focus on teaching these life skills.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that children learn by monkey see, monkey do. I understand they're going to learn more from watching how I act and behave more than how I tell them to act and behave.
True.
That needs to go on a t-shirt somewhere.
It is.
Oh, it is on a t-shirt somewhere. See, I'm
willing
not
to
just
learn.
any mom. And you got to see this. This is cool. I'm a Creating Champions for Life mom right there, okay? You got to decide. Are you just going to be any mom? Or do you want to be a Creating Champions for Life mom? I do believe God is calling his army to the forefront right now. People who have the faith, people who have the strength, people who have the desire, people who have the inner calling to know that what we're doing right now is completely off the mark when it comes to parenting. All right, I'm done ranting. You must have something
I
to
really
say.
love this part. Like when they do have the making the transition is if they knew when and where the candy come into play, because dessert is a caboose or the engine on a train.
What?
Is the dessert at mealtime, like say dinner, is the dessert the caboose, which means at the end, or is it the engine, which is in front? And if you can go ahead and put two and two together, it's the caboose. So, what has to happen first? The child doesn't know when is the proper procedure, but we do. And for us to think that they know what's in my head and have all this life experience, they don't. So, when they're asking, can I have a cookie? Can I have this? They're looking for when and where does this show up in the
Yes.
1, 2, 3s.
Yes.
If they knew what to do, they would already be doing it. This is the missing life skill. So, oh, well, can you have a cookie? Well, that's right. We have our little things there. You'd validate, right? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's a pop quiz. When you learn to speak kid, everything's like a pop quiz. They're testing you. Oh, that's right. Well, I know when I'm having a cookie. Do you? You ask a question, get them to think, and they always go. They can give you the whole thing, like they're after dinner, or it comes right after dinner when I finish all my plate that I put the food on. Look how smart you are. You can create heaven and hell at the exact same time. And if you had a choice which one you want to do, it would be as simple as learn to speak kid is heaven. All the rest of the parenting is hell. Heads or
Yep.
tails. It's this really crystal clear, simple, but nobody ever taught you this stuff. Maybe that might be the one time that could be the saving grace, because everybody who's ever got a taste of this goes, I'm never going back. Where you been my whole life? And what is the
Mhm.
common theme on how our videos pop up in your feed every single time?
Yeah, I
What do they
prayed to
do?
God for an answer and your video showed up. Okay, because what we're speaking here is the truth. And yes, Jessica, I'm sorry you had that experience. I also bring that up as well because my firstborn, who my parents adopted, she was told, no, don't touch it, no, don't touch it. And when she was 3 and the hot burner was on, she went like this and she got ring circles, 3rd-degree burns on her hand from touching the hot burner. So I can relate with you on that. And we're here to say, when you give your children the truth, which brings us to the next question, by the way. What to do when your child seems to explode over everything for absolutely no reason? Well, let me just say, there's always a reason. A child does not explode just like a bee doesn't sting people. A bee stings people when what? When they're put into a box, when they're cornered, when they feel threatened. You'll hear a lot in
Yep.
mainstream parenting, fight or flight, right? Well, but what if we were the cause of the fight or flight? And what if you could parent in such a way where there was no fight or flight? Parent in such a way that
Freeze.
offered unconditional love, that offered validation, that offered empowerment, that offered the children the truth about how the world works. And so, if you have a child who's exploding over everything, number one, they have developed a habit in their brain. That's how I make things happen in my life. How many times, mom or dad, did you explode when your 2-year-old was just obstinate? Now, we have a 2-year-old, so we've been practicing this with our granddaughter since the day she was born, and oh my gosh, what a difference it makes when you see her goals, when you empower her, when not one time have we ever got mad at her, yelled at her, told her no, redirected. Every time she wants to learn about the step ladder, we safely show her how to use a step ladder. She's been climbing that step ladder since she was about 15 months old, standing at the top of it. Ooh, look at me, right? She loves it. So we empower her. I've got a little video. We went swimming the other day. She takes off her own shoes. She takes her socks and her shoes and she puts them where the shoes are. I don't do anything like that for her. She does it all herself. And when you start there, there will be no repair. There will be no childhood disorder. There will be no exploding from the inside out. But we have been conditioned, moms and dads, we have been taught to believe that we need to dictate, that we need to control their behavior, that we need to set boundaries and hold those boundaries, that when I say no, it means no. And you've got this little tiny mini you living in a human body, excited about everything in the world that is new. Everything is new. Putting on your shoes and taking off your shoes for a baby is new. Doing dishes is new. They just want to be like you. So they're exploding for a very good reason. They're exploding because they are being put into a box. Children right now, and what I'm seeing out there on social media is absolutely devastating. Parents who have been trained in the wrong way, who now have 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, who the parent has no idea what to do with. And all they can see is, I am sick and tired of being abused by my child. They are emotionally and physically abusive. And I'm done. And I'm kicking them out now. With no life skills, with no truth of how the world works. And I know I was one of those children. Came home late one night and it was get the F out of my house. And I was 15 years old. And so I got to leave the house with nowhere to go except for underneath the stairs in the apartment building down the street. And that's a true story. And thank God I had a mother who was very hardworking, who was committed, who was dedicated, who taught me to be strong and who taught me to persevere and keep going, because I don't know where I would be without her. When my dad was like, "Come live with me," his whole life, and then as soon as I did, they kicked me out of the house because I was missing life skills. Does this make sense? I'm talking, this is serious talk today because your children's lives are at stake and your actual future sanity is also at stake here. When the truth will set you free. Your child explodes because they are being put into a box. And we are right now raising children. If they don't turn out to be who we want them to be, then we're giving up on them. We're labeling them. We're medicating them. We're sending to this treatment center and whatnot. So everything that we talked about so far in the last 48 minutes should end those explosions. If we begin to see our children, we begin to teach them cause and effect. We begin to teach them the truth about sowing and reaping. If your child's never set a goal and made anything happen on their own, they will be lacking confidence. That will cause explosions. So I just want you to know that your child will never explode for no reason. There's always a reason. And it's what we're talking about here today. Do you have any plus ones?
Yeah, it's not a question of learning. But if you had a choice, do you want to learn the easy way or hard way? You want to learn with a smile or a frown? Joy, laughter, or screaming and crying? I noticed in the comment there that the older brother had it burn on his foot, 2nd degree, and couldn't walk for a couple weeks. And then the sister or the daughter had a chance to learn from that observation.
Yeah.
One learned the hard way. That's the clue there. But if we know that kids are going to get burned, false or true, Bonnie?
Yes, they are going to get burned.
This is part of
Things are going to happen.
This is part of the obstacle course from 0 to 18. So if you know what's going to happen and thinking that you're going to bubble wrap the bubble wrap, and pretty soon you don't even know what you bubble wrapped and think that it will never happen. And when it does, it's the hard way. So being proactive, what we'd always do is be like, well, look, does anybody have a goal to get burned? Because if I did, what do I do? Teach me. If you could wrap your head around this is the proactive part. I didn't say you're going to get burned, but I show Harley faith. If I go ahead and I bump my head on that and I cry, she can see that's if you bump your head, you're going to cry. It hurts. The burning part, you could use YouTube as a great tool. Could you find a 3rd degree, 1st degree, 2nd degree burn to be proactive and say, I have a goal to get a burn. What do I do? Counterintuitive to all mainstream parenting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can be proactive, it's called learning the easy way with a smile. So there's the burner. If I want a big bubble on my hand, how do I get one too? Well, you take it, find something that's a temperature, is measurable. You can do it, put it on there, and your body will say, oh, well, you're really stupid. I got to take over, call it a reaction, but it will go ahead and blister up. That's how you do it. You got to find something hot and touch it.
Mm-hmm.
If they knew that ahead of time and they could then know that hot things produce that and I
Yep.
don't want it, you put them in the driver's seat when you're not around.
Ding,
Big,
ding,
big,
ding, ding,
big,
ding.
big game changer. So a lot of us are going to go, well, what is it going to feel like to go from what all this mainstream into this new one would be here? And I can give you a clue what it'd feel like. Fold your arms without no thought. Just fold them. Jump in, Bonnie. Fold your arms, right? There was no thought here. You just did it. In this
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm a right over left, and
I don't know.
you're a left over right. And then switch them around real quick.
It takes effort. It's hard.
Okay. Now, does this feel some or a lot awkward, Bonnie?
Mm-hmm. Awkward. A
So when
lot.
you do something new, awkward is going to be, hey, I'm right on track. That's the key.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
did we hit all three today, or do we have any plus ones?
we did, and I have another question, but I'm going to lead into a master future plan. So stick with us. Just wanted to say, your kids are like, oh, let me share it this way. Everybody knows Finding Nemo. And Marlin, the dad, of course, he lives his whole life in fear because a shark came and took his wife and all his babies except for Nemo. So he is very protective over Nemo. Well, he's with Dory and he's like, well, when we get Nemo back, I'm not going to let anything happen to him. And she goes, well, that's weird. Well, that's weird. If you don't let anything happen to him, then nothing's going to happen to him. So they do need to experience life. And Jessica and Holly, we have no idea how that particular what do you call it, adversity, um sadness, injury, we have no idea how that's going to pay off later on, right? That's between him and God. So all we can do is all we can do. But I will say that when Harley, like ever since she could crawl, she loved to be with grandma in the kitchen. She like pulls out all the plastic thing, pulls out all my little baggies, like, and I would just go, look at that, you're pulling out 150 baggies, good for you. And always just validated, and then we showed her, put it back. But when she was showing interest to stand on the ladder and come be with me when I was cooking dinner, all I had to do was turn the burner on, like not so that it was shiny red, but just turn it on so it started giving heat. And then I just took her little hand and I put it over the burner safely. She was never going to burn herself, but I just took it over the burner. This is hot. I showed her what hot was, and she went like this. Now she's 23 months old. She will not go near a burner. She knows better. She actually uses the spatula and she stirs things in the pot and everything. And she knows what hot is. So we just don't know. Every adversity leads to equal or greater opportunity.
Sure.
Your children are going to experience things, and we want them to experience things because it's a lot less painful when you fall down as a 2-year-old if you fall down as a 15-year-old, if that makes sense, because we're heavier. You know the deal. So anyways, we are going to talk about how to calm chaos and build cooperation with kids who have ODD, ADHD, IED, or any other disruptive behavior disorder. This is not going to be a quick fix. I'm sorry, but like a weighted vest, fish oil and vitamins, all of these gimmicks, right? Like
Hacks.
pressure swings, like all of these things that are being sold out there to try to fix your kid from the outside in are never going to be a long term. They might help short term, but that's never going to give your child the life skill of how to focus, the life skill called self-control, self-discipline. It's never going to teach them how to be respectful, never going to teach them what manners are, how to open a door for the elderly, how to sit up straight in a chair, how to behave in a restaurant. I'm sorry, there is no weighted vest that's going to teach your child all of these missing life skills. They are counting on you to show them how the world works. So, with that being said, for the next 12 Thursdays at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, we are going to cover a principle a week. We're going to help you begin to understand by building a solid foundation, because we realize that when you come here, it's like, well, I'm asking a question. I want a quick fix. There is no such thing as a quick fix. We're talking about dealing with little tiny human beings.
Missing ingredients.
They have thoughts and feelings and desires and goals, and they want to experience life. So we figured that if we did a principle a week for the next 12 weeks, and of course, they will still be Q&A. We want you to engage. We want you to challenge what we're saying. Ask us questions so that we can explain further, so you can develop a solid foundation. Because you know what happens when all you want to do is put the roof on a house without building a foundation? What happens to the house? It implodes every single time. It implodes. I tried it. It worked for a day or a week, and now it doesn't work anymore. It must not work. No, it does work. We're talking principle based. This works in relationships, in parenting, in business, everywhere. We do everything proactively except for when it comes to raising children. We have been taught backwards, and that is the truth. I want to ask you, if you're here to support our channel, subscribe to our channel, like and share the video. If every single parent knew what we were talking about here, the world would be a way more empowered place. We would take the child mental health pandemic that's happening all over the globe, and we will squash it. We cannot convince the whole world that what we're saying is right, and that's not our intention. But if we raise the next generation to be empowered, to be confident, to know how to thrive in the world and not just survive, if we can raise children who believe in their potential versus a disability, man, you'll leave a stamp in this universe. I think Steve Jobs used to say, I want to put a dent in the universe.
Right.
We're here to put a dent in the universe. We're here to breathe life into you and into your children. We are champions for children. We are committed. We are here for the long haul. And so, with all that being said, until we meet again, here's to our parenting success. Cheers, everybody.
Everyone. Bye for now.